I'm your host, Chantel Leeson, and I have a special guest for you today. This is Dennis Williams, and he is the creator of a financial application.
I'm the creator of a finance application that's available in both Google Play as well as in the Apple App Store called CashMap. It's an innovative, one-of-a-kind application that gives users the ability to see the impact of keeping their money working for them 24/7. We're always told the importance of compounding, but the problem is we never can actually see it. And so CashMap gives your users the ability to put in how they're currently spending their money, and then see the impact that it'll have over the next 5, 10, 15 years. So that in turn, they can now take that picture and then answer this question, which would be, what is it that's most important to you that you'd like to achieve that if you didn't, you'd kick yourself on the backside because you didn't do what you really wanted to do with your money?
Wow.
So instead of talking about budgeting, this is not a budgeting app. Instead, we start with answering the question. Step one is, what is your dream?
Okay.
If you were to define what is it and where was it you wanted to be in the future, how much would that cost in today's dollars? And then be able to take that, create your own tailor-made cash map, and then make adjustments right there on the spot to see what you need to do different to achieve what's really most important to you.
Dennis, can I ask a question here? Is this something that would make a good wedding present for a young couple?
Most definitely, right? I mean, and the other part of the application that it does as well, and with your background, you understand this. How many businesses leave their cash sitting in a checking account doing nothing, waiting to pay bills?
Right, most of them do. That's exactly right.
I mean, and so what CashMap also does, it takes a small strategy that banks use to make money, and now we've brought it to the consumer so that now they can actually see the impact of keeping their money working for them, which means they can accelerate getting rid of any debt sooner. Many of our customers save anywhere between $50 to a couple $100,000 in saved interest, and then be able to see what the impact is on being able to quickly grow their savings. So CashMap is taking a strategy that's been around and used for years by banks and large businesses, and now taking it and applying it so that we as consumers can use it and benefit just like they have.
Wow. Other question I have to ask, so it works both on your savings habit as well as just help, I'm not clear on that. It helps for savings, investing,
yeah.
And okay.
So when you create your own, so probably, the first thing that somebody's going to start to do, and this may surprise you, most people don't really know how they're spending their money.
Right.
And so it walks them through the process of just capturing what are you currently doing with your money. Never mind budget. Budget's usually what do you want to do with your money.
Okay.
Never mind what you want to do with your money. Let's just capture what you're currently doing with your money.
Okay.
And it'll then show you, as you input the information, it'll show you in turn how much money you have left after you pay your bills. So that's step one. That's the free part of the application. It will then take you through the process of, once you've captured that, to then ask a series of questions such as, over the next few years, how much of an increase are you expecting to make in your income? And for most people, I'll say 2%. So with that 2%, how much do you think you won't spend? You plug that in. So now you have the ability of saying, here's how much money is going to go through your fingers over the next few years that most people never even think about.
Right.
The next step is to say, all right, are there obligations that you're going to be paying off or you see yourself taking on? And it allows you to plug those in. Then it takes you to savings and asks the question of the money you have left after you pay your bills. What percentage of it are you going to put aside for savings? And how much do you want to have for an emergency fund so that when that unexpected hiccup happens, you're prepared. You know what's going to happen. You'll have the money ready. You then have the ability of saying, okay, well, what kind of money do I think, what kind of interest do I think I'm going to earn on my money? And if you're one who tends to be a bit more sophisticated of being able to split between something that's very low risk to something that's what you call balanced to something that's more aggressive, you're able to define and plug those amounts in and actually split up the dollars over where you want them to go. And with that, you'll actually see how much money you'll have using a conventional approach over the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. It'll show you the projected balance. Now, the one thing it doesn't do, it doesn't take into account taxes. It just shows the power of compounding. But as I've had some people tell me, if somebody is doing something like an indexed universal life product, they decide to do something like that, well, that's a pretty good assimilation to what that would look like. And so now you've got your cash flow. Now you have what you can expect to see in savings. And now the next piece is now you go to a particular debt that you want to get rid of. And frequently it could be a student loan for people who've come out of, back to your point, somebody who's just gotten married.
Right.
They may have law school debt. They may have debt from an MBA. They may have debt from coming out of nursing school. Or they could have their mortgage. Any one of them, they can select it. Or it could be credit card debt. And it captures that and what the terms are. And then what's a bit of a new twist, you put in the terms of using a very small line of credit, which doesn't need to be more than 1.5 times the income the user deposits in their bank every month. And now we're using that to create our own loan with an effective rate of like 1.5% or 2%.
Wow.
And so it's like you're refinancing debt at a really low rate. So by being able to do that, I can use it to accelerate getting rid of debt, or I could use it to create my own margin account per se in order to boost my savings. You now run it and it'll tell you, here's how quickly you can pay off this loan. Here's how much you will be able to save in interest. Here's how much you can now have using this strategy over if you did a conventional approach that we all know so well. So if you were to share your screen, allow me to share my screen for a moment, I can actually give you an example of what it might look like.
All right, 1 second here. I'm going to make you host. That will be the easiest way to do this.
Okay.
Okay.
And I will now just give you a quick snapshot picture
Okay.
of what the finishing product of the application looks like. So in this particular case, we've got a $424,000 mortgage that we're getting rid of. It's at 3.2%, and in this scenario, we'll be able to get rid of it in 15 years, saving $104,000 in interest.
Okay.
And our savings balance will be about $724,000 more than what it otherwise would have been.
That's huge.
Now, it's huge. And the simple solution is we're saying, and I'm just going to use my pointer right here. You take a small line of credit of just $2,690. You withdraw that from the line of credit, and you use it as an additional loan payment to that mortgage. At the end of the month, the other interesting little twist here is, instead of leaving my cash sitting inside of a checking account doing nothing, and this is a key part, while I wait to pay my bills, I move all of my income into the line of credit to minimize the balance owed on the line of credit.
Really?
Yep. So by doing that, because Chantel, what are the banks paying us in interest on our checking account?
Oh, you don't get interest on checking account, not to my,
Yeah, next to nothing, right? And if you have something on a savings account, what are they paying you?
well, it's very minimal.
It's very, very minimal.
Right.
So because it's so minimal, nobody ever teaches us that the timing we pay our bills actually matters.
Yeah.
So instead, what we do here is we actually teach folks to, instead of paying your bills whenever, pay it at the end of what I call the billing cycle. If the billing cycle was the month, I would pay it at the end of the month, so that the balance on the line of credit stays extremely low, so that the interest I pay the bank is nominal. And when I need to pay my bills, I now just take the money from the line of credit, put it in the checking account. I pay my bills like I normally would. And so in effect, what I've done is I've given myself this really cheap loan to pay off debt, enabling me in this situation to be able to pay off this mortgage in half the time. Now, here's the beauty of this. I'm going to show you something really quick. How much money do you think this person has before they pay their bills? I mean, after they pay their bills every month? See up in the top, the green, $512.
Okay, that's after they pay off the debt every month. Okay.
After they pay all their bills every month, right now, they only have $500 left after they pay their bills.
All right.
With only $500 left at the end of every month, they are able to pay off a $400,000 loan in just 15 years.
Wait,
Why?
On
They're
$500.
putting money to work.
Wow, that's huge.
It's huge. Now, let's look at what that does on savings. Right here, they ended up paying off that mortgage. And because they don't have to pay the mortgage, they can now shift the dollars to savings. And look what happens to the balance.
Wow.
It goes through the roof. So now if I was somebody and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, wow, $500. What would happen if I was to say, gee, what if I was to increase my income by $500 a month? What effect would it have? Well, this little thing at the bottom called cash flow. I just touch that, then go to income, and I'm just going to plug in investment income. I'm going to say $500. And notice when I do it at the top, it automatically goes up to $1,000 for the money I have left,
Okay.
instead of 500. And now I'm going to go back to where I was, and I'm going to rerun this. I'm not going to change anything. And now we see that we've cut 2 years off of the time.
So what's that $900,000 there?
So now the $900,000 means that by me getting an additional $500 a month in income, or you could make income, combination of income or expenses, at the end of when this loan would normally be paid, let's go back to our savings, I am now $900,000 ahead.
Oh my, wow.
I can save these cash maps and decide later which one I want to use. I can create other scenarios and save them. And for the first time, I now have an empowering incentive over realizing that every dollar I use, it has an effect on getting me to where I want to be, like I've never been able to see it before.
Yeah, it's a very clear picture too. I think for any couple, any person rather, particularly for a young couple, they'll see this picture completely differently.
Oh yeah, big time.
They got college loans to pay off. They want to have a family. They can see something. They'll see it's a marvelous picture.
Yes. And actually in this particular scenario, you'll see the little green line right after the 5. You see how it drops?
Right.
Because when I set this up, I had them taking $22,000 out of their savings account to buy a new car.
Oh, okay.
So if we take that away, so I can easily do that, we can create another scenario that shows, okay, you know what? I think we can put off buying a car a little bit longer and immediately see what the effect will be.
Wow. Oh.
This is what makes CashMap unique. I am aware of no other product on the market that with such ease, someone can literally create a scenario, save it, and in turn, make a decision over what they do with their money. I've had clients tell me that by being able to do this and going through the 3-step process, first of all, capturing your spending, creating those items that are going to make you most excited about in your future to achieve, and then taking it and then creating your cash map, all of a sudden couples are on the same page.
Oh,
so if you stop and you think about a couple where one likes to spend and the other one likes to save, the one who spends says, I only live once. What am I going to do with this money? Are we going to be like these elderly people who end up dying and they find $1 million stuffed under their mattress because they never spent it, because they just saved because it's a hobby? And of course, then there's the other extreme. It says, no, we got to take advantage of compounding. Of course, their response is going to be, for what? What are we going to do with it? Well, now all of a sudden you have clarity of what you want to do. And with that clarity, now as they're going about looking at their finances every month, they're actually on the same page because they want to do the same things. This is what CashMap does for them.
They make a little difference in some families, actually.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you've been around the block, and you could tell me stories for the rest of the evening about the dynamics in families in which they're never able to come and approach finances and be on the same page.
Exactly.
Right?
Right, exactly.
Now, the other thing that I discovered was, being a finance person, I take things for granted. And so I soon learned that many people gave me feedback that they wouldn't feel comfortable doing this on their own. So I created an 8-week coaching course to walk them through the process step by step, supported by ongoing lifetime coaching in which they can call and create a community in which people can call in, ask questions, get guidance over how to manage the process of getting to this particular point. So my coaching course is called the CashMap Blueprint.
I like that idea of a coaching course, because I think you're right. I think that if anyone's going to be doing this, they're going to, it'd be uncomfortable. So it's nice to have something to turn to get like a support system to help them understand this.
Yes, that's exactly right. And so what I started with as an independent application that you could download and do on your own, I will say that probably no more than 10% of most people are comfortable with that concept. Most people feel that they need coaching to go through it. And the beauty of this is that we're actually teaching a skill that they will now be able to use the rest of their life. And if situations come up, they can check in and ask a question to get the support and guidance they need. And the other beauty of it is they in turn can now take it and share it with their friends, share it with their kids, so that they're teaching it to others, rather than being dependent upon CashMap Consulting as if we're attempting to kind of corral the market. This is something I think everybody should know how to do. It would transform family finances. And now all of a sudden, people are saying, oh, well, let's create a cash map to decide whether we should do this or whether or not we should do that. And now know what the impact's going to be before you ever do it.
You know what, I like what you're saying. I think that even when people have children, that it would help families for the children to understand where money goes and how it works.
Definitely. Definitely. And we're not, when we go through school, we're not trained about these things. And it's certainly not given as a visual example that you can actually take your current spending and then answer if-then questions and see what the impact's going to be on getting you where you want to go.
Should I take you off the shared screen, or do you have more visuals?
Yeah, you can take me off the shared screen now.
Okay, how do I do that? I think you release it in your end.
I do it on my end, don't I?
Yeah. There we are. You know, what I like about this is that I listen to you talk. I'm thinking about how, particularly when kids are teenagers, because it's like it's water torture or something, where kids need some money for everything throughout their high school years, whether it's for band practice or if it's a new pair of shoes and they have to have extra shoes, and if they're girls, they have to have a shoe for different occasions. So I like this for families. It is something the families can sit together and work with.
Yes, and within the context of the section called cash flow, it breaks it down into as much detail or as simple as you want it to be. So, for many people, when we designed this, I wasn't interested in competing with a mint.com, in which they have such detail. What I really wanted to do was to say, let's take a snapshot picture where you are. And then now you decide what you want to do to make a change and see what the impact's going to be, so that it's actually a motivator for you.
Right.
And it makes all the difference in the world.
I think you've covered a lot of information here for people. How would they be able to reach out to you when they see this online? What's a good way for them to reach out to you?
Well, I have a web address. It's called CashMap App. So CashMapp.com. And there you can actually sign up for, every 2 weeks, I actually do a live Q&A session in which people can go through what the detail is of what the aspects are of what they're going to master. I also have a URL called bookatimewithdennis.com, in which they can set up 30 minutes with me, in which they can ask questions. I also have a YouTube channel called CashMap and App is the name of the YouTube channel, which I've created a series of YouTube videos that people can watch, so that they also can get a handle on what the aspects are of being able to master, being able to achieve what's most important to you in your life. And so any one of those vehicles you can use. The idea here is all I'm doing is creating information that banks and big businesses have been using for years, but we've not been taught as consumers. And I'm just pulling it all together.
I'm gonna at the end of this video, I'm going to put all that information so that the audience can reach out. I'll have it online for them to be able to see this, how they can reach out to you. So you'll give me that information again when we wrap up here. But I've got a lot out of today's video, and I don't want this to be a one-time. Can we get you to come back in the future?
I would love it. It's been delightful talking with you and having you ask me questions. And again, my passion is for households to be able to master this and realize that we think we understand the system, but we can actually take the rules of the bank and use them to our benefit to help us get ahead.
I like that, and I appreciate that. And what I was thinking before we wrap up is that I have a daughter, and she's in her junior year. She graduates next year. Now, she has no college debt or loans. We paid cash. We paid her tuition in full. But she likes to buy clothes. And so with her first job, I want her to learn and get an idea what life's going to be like if she understands what her spending would be like if she delays it before she just runs out of cash from a paycheck. And I think I'm not the only parent that's thinking in that way. I think there's a lot of parents out here who are looking at their new graduates or people getting married, young couples, but not only just for young couples, it works for older couples as well. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I actually met a couple that refinanced their home, and they're over 70 years old.
Wow. Wow. Well, Dennis, we'll have to get that on the next video. I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to thank you for being on with us today. Is there anything else we should know before we wrap up?
That's probably enough for right now.
Okay.
I look forward to coming back again to chat with you.
I'll look forward to it. And I want to thank you again.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Bye now.
Okay.